and precious water. And Watersheds was a course that I decided to teach more than anything else because California has had for numerous years water issues as to how we deal with the water and how we apportion it. And I thought students would really feel like this is an important issue. I also felt that healthy watersheds are just a part of the public trust lands, and students need to be aware of how, if we're good stewards of these things, how beneficial they are. Furthermore, specifically in the Bay Area, we're spending billions of dollars on wetland restoration projects, and I thought students might find that of interest, knowing that this is going to be a decades-long process, and they're going to be around to hopefully enjoy the benefit. The community engagement aspects were really designed so that I could address what I think is a part of Jan-Term, which is the experiential education aspect. That they ought to be able to experience this and ponder the ramifications. The two major components of the community engagement part of my class were a watershed monitoring project, where they actually went out and quantified what was going on in Las Trampas Creek. And I'll say a little more about that in a minute. The other one was to do some educational outreach with young children at an elementary school, teaching them something about why we should care about watersheds. Going back to the first point, my work in interacting with the environmental science program led me to understand that for Contra Costa County, there is a watershed volunteer coordinator who actually gets volunteers throughout the county to actually go about quantifying what's going on with our watersheds and collect a systematic set of data. The cool thing for students is that it's a GPS PDA run system, which of course all the students said, yeah, we can learn how to do this. And we were able to go out and quantify on Las Trampas Creek, which hasn't been sampled at all, and add that to the county's database. And so the students in my class have gone out and essentially started to mark out what's going on with that creek, where there's erosion, where there's habitat for various different fish, insects, etc. And it's being now provided back to the community into the database. I thought that was useful, and also as well, because I've interacted with the community's watershed coordinator, that it also allows our students to potentially go out and do this again some other time when they feel they want to, or if they live in this county, they may find that they'll do that after they graduate. The educational aspect was that reaching out to the school I felt was important, plus it allows the St. Mary's students who have done a laboratory experiment in my course to go out and then teach that and be the authorities. And the amusing thing was to watch them enjoy being the authorities and deal with some really pretty sharp little third graders who were always going to challenge them, but they had fun doing it as well. So that's why I incorporated all of those aspects. This Jan-Term class really and truly did allow a number of students to start to get out into nature and discover how wonderful it really was. I think for a number of students, especially in the second year, it gave them aspects of seeing nature in a very different light than they maybe had seen it, and doing even the outreach project with monitoring the watershed. We were along St. Mary's Road as we worked in the creek, and students realized they'd driven by this and hadn't really thought about that there was a creek right there, other than they'd driven over the bridges. So it was very useful that way. The other aspect that was important to me was, here on the campus, we have a seasonal swamp. And so students were able to explore that you can get out into nature and it still be 200 yards from campus, and yet you might feel that you were quite a ways away. And so it hopefully teaches everyone how to find those quiet spaces. One of the biggest challenges was anytime you take students to field sites, the logistics of getting students off-site safely and back is a big challenge. It'd be great if we had some other way of making that happen. But the benefit was, once students were away and saw all these different places that are very close by, I think they started to realize there are other things they could enjoy in this area, if nothing more, just for a quiet walk. SILSA was indeed very helpful in helping me contact different agencies, although I had a number of resources that I was interested in contacting to begin with. They facilitated coming up with other alternatives, which if you're ever going to do items off campus, you need more than one site, you need multiple sites, because somehow the logistics will change on you from year to year. SILSA also helped me with the outreach that I had support staff from SILSA come out and do the photography, so that when we did the still photography out on the elementary school, I didn't have to worry about it. Somebody else was handling it for me, and it made it very easy. They also made sure that I was able to get my release forms, so we actually are allowed to use those pictures too. So an additional point that SILSA helped me with is honestly trying to think about planning the reflections for the class. And again, if you're going to do outreach, then having an effective reflection is important too. I look at teaching a Jan term course with the Engage pedagogy as very straightforward, but it's also a time where faculty can actually plan, devote the time to it, and the students as well can devote the time to it. Students have only one course to focus on, so that if you want to ask them to do something that's external from campus, you have their full attention. And you can say, we're going to go do this, rather than have to struggle with other schedules. I also think of it as the best time for faculty to plan how you logistically do this, so that if they wish to incorporate something like this during either the fall or the spring term, that they actually can understand what is truly involved in executing it, and therefore they will have a better sense of how to make it happen during the regular terms.